the Alumni House podcast. My name is Matt.
I'm the Quacker.
Quacker, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good.
Take these off so you don't see the screen. Yeah, me too. It is. It's been a good day. You know, it's football's in the air. We've got it. We've got lots of football to talk about. I got Monday night football on the TV and another game that starts at about 3 a.m. my time. So, yeah. So no, it's great. So wild weekend. Hit us with a couple pieces of news and notes real quick because we got to jump right in.
Yeah. So a game we'll talk about in a few minutes here. FAU versus FIU. We didn't know this at the time, but it's called the Battle for the Don Shula Award or the Don Shula Award. So I guess Don Shula's got a connection with both schools, or maybe just because they're in the Miami area. So they play for a trophy there. So big thing happened in a conference we don't cover, but congratulations to Kirk Ferentz for passing Woody Hayes as the all-time Big Ten's win leader with 206. If you thought Joe Pye was all-time wins leader like I did, he's not, because Penn State didn't join until like 1990. So a lot of his wins came before they joined the Big Ten. Louisville's linebacker Saquon Clark had surgery on his lower leg and is possibly out for the season. LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier has been dealing with a torso injury since the season started. Coach Kelly revealed today. And then the coaching carousel has already started. Virginia Tech has fired their head coach, Brent Pry. His record was 16-24, 3 games into his 4th season at Tech. Offensive coordinator Philip Montgomery will serve as the interim head coach. And again, the conference will cover. UCLA has fired Deshaun Foster as head coach in less than 2 seasons. So he didn't last long at all there.
That's not a surprise. As soon as I saw his Big Ten Media Days address last year, I was like, this guy's a clown. So I'm not surprised at all that he didn't last.
He was a heck of a player at UCLA. I guess not so much of a coach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, look, you don't have to be the best speaker in the world, but what was frustrating is he seemed eloquent. He seemed like a well-spoken guy, but he just clearly wasn't prepared. And my thought was, well, if you're not prepared for, like a 10-minute address to the media, how prepared are you going to be like with these kids? So that was just my thought, but all right. So of the games that we are going to talk about, we'll mention if it was a game that we picked. So Quacker went 9 of 13 from this weekend, and I went 7 of 13. But I'm a little upset because 2 of those were Notre Dame and A&M, and what was the other? Georgia and Tennessee, which I should have won both. But at the last second, both of Quacker's teams won. So I accept those as losses. All right, so let's start in Miami. So Florida Atlantic went to FIU for the, what is it called? The Don Shula Trophy?
Don Shula Award.
A Don Shula Award. Okay. So
yeah.
As
not the best name.
Yeah. As Quacker thought, Florida International won this game. Now, I will say that going into halftime, it was 21-17, and then Florida Atlantic just stopped playing because International scored 21 points in the third quarter, and then Atlantic tacked on a touchdown at the end to, keep it less than 11. So
yeah, a little garbage time touchdown, just to make the final score not look quite so bad. The running back for International, Kay Owens, 19 carries, Matt. He had 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's not a bad day at the office.
Not bad. Not bad at all. All right. So if you can name an alumni not named Joe Flacco from Delaware, I would like you to do so now.
I got
Hold on.
nothing.
Okay. I was gonna qualify because I thought you were about to have one. I was gonna qualify by saying it had to be a football player, but obviously the most famous football player alumni from Delaware is Joe Flacco, who is still playing at the age of 65. They hosted UConn, and you may be asking, why the heck are you talking about UConn and Delaware? Well, we're talking about it because it's Delaware, and they're brand new to Division 1A or FBS, and they're well. Let me back up. They used to be in major college football, but they're rebrand new because it's been many years. You talked about Penn State joining the Big Ten in 1990. I think it was long before that. I kind of feel like it was when the split came between 1A and 1AA, whenever that. I don't remember when that was. Oh, I say remember. I wasn't alive. I'm not aware of when that was, but I'm pretty sure I know Delaware was in major college football at that point. But they are 2-1. What is their mascot? The Hens? It's something weird.
Yeah,
like that.
the blue hen.
Blue Hens.
Yeah.
Okay. And they hosted UConn and won the game 44-41. I don't know that there's a lot to talk about, but congratulations to Delaware for, hey, you're showing up, playing who's in front of you, and you're winning. So that's pretty cool. All right, so we did not pick this game, but I think the reason we didn't pick this game is because Quacker and I both felt like the outcome that happened was going to happen. But little old Tulane from the American, switching gears now, played Duke. They played host to Duke and won the game 34-27. The thing is, Tulane just keeps winning games. Like, what is this? 3 seasons in a row that they've had a really solid team. You know, I know Duke is not what Duke was, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, but they're not a terrible team.
Yeah.
Well, at least let me back up. We don't know if they're a terrible team. They're not a terrible program. It's not like the program's in shambles or anything. But Tulane just keeps winning, man, and I feel like that's going to continue to happen, and they're going to be right there at the end of the season in the American race. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a meme today. It was talking about because Duke's quarterback transferred from Tulane. It said you spent $6 million on a Tulane quarterback to get beat by a Tulane quarterback. So, I mean, Tulane just kind of had this game in hand for the most part from the start. I mean, Duke kind of made it close there at the end. And this is kind of a late game because I went to the Southern Miss game and it was a late getting out. And I went to eat afterwards. I was sitting in Buffalo Wild Wings and kind of watching the games around me, and it was still on. And I was like, this is played right down there. And so it was still a good quarter left to play, or quarter and a half left to play. So I'm not sure what time they started, but it was a heck of a game by the Tulane coaching staff to have them prepared. You're playing Power 4 school. I mean, now Tulane's kind of building a little history here of knocking off teams they maybe shouldn't beat.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They just keep winning, and they win games they're not supposed to win.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Cotton Bowl, 4 years ago now when they beat Caleb Williams and USC.
Yeah,
that's when they're, huh?
I said yeah, that sounds right. Although
yeah.
I think I know that you do too, but I kind of scoff at the whole bowl victory thing. I don't think that anybody gets bragging rights for that. Because when was the last time that it wasn't a playoff game where, like, a bowl team or a bowl game like was representative of the teams that played the season. And I think back to the Florida State Georgia game 2 years ago. Nobody outside of the Georgia fans actually believe that was Florida State's best shot, even with a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
UCF beat Florida a couple years ago, and I'm pretty sure they have a banner in their stadium for it. But it was something like 60% of Florida's team didn't play in that game, either between transfers or sitting out. And my point is, I'm all for giving Tulane their flowers. I don't know that I would necessarily do it in a bowl game, just because today the modern bowl is worthless unless it's like a major bowl, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, they had a really good season that year. I don't remember all the teams they beat. I know that I think they only lost one game this season. And that was to Southern Miss. That was under Will Hall, his one season that he had a good season there. That was kind of really the coming out of Tulane football, because they really haven't been relevant in decades. And now, I mean, they've had coach turnover. They've had like 2 coaches in this time span, and they just continue to win. Like, it doesn't matter who the coach is, who the players are, the program's rolling now, and it's really good to see.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again to the Green Wave. That's pretty awesome. So we're just going to mention this game. We're not going to talk about it because we didn't watch it, because it, another one of those games that came on at 3 a.m. Well, Quacker watched a minute of it. But North Texas went to Washington State and won the game. And why is that significant, you may ask? Well, Washington State is not – I mean, I guess technically they're still a power conference team, but they will not be at the start of next year. I mean, generally the generally accepted vernacular now is the Power 4. I think people have moved on from the Power 5 moniker, but so a little bit of history from Washington State. So good on you, North Texas. Not a lot to say about that one other than that. So
yeah, it was a thumping. I mean, 59-10. Yeah, and it was played at North Texas. So that was good on them for getting a big team like that to come in. But
all right. So jumping over to the Sun Belt, let's start with Iowa State going to Arkansas State. So Iowa State won the game. But when I looked at the score, and I was like, I can't remember what I was doing, but I was somewhat distracted. Like I had, I know what I was doing. I was trying to finish the Backyard Brawl and the Georgia-Tennessee game, and that game was on too. So I literally had multi-view on my computer and on my TV, and I'm like looking at both of them, trying to catch the audio from 2 out of 3, because there were these 3 really amazing games. And it was just one of those situations where I was just like, I legitimately don't know which one to go to, and then 2 of them went to overtime.
Yeah.
But, and of course we're going to talk about both of those in a minute. But when I looked at it, Iowa State was winning, 17-16. And then of course they scored a touchdown late to put the nail in the coffin. But man, Arkansas State, good job, man. Hosting a power team, and a top 15 team.
Yeah.
And playing them with a lot of guts. And we're seeing that a lot. We're seeing the group of 6 schools, a lot of them are playing the power conference teams really tough.
Yeah. Yeah, they're if you want to say they're punching brother weight or whatever. We haven't seen anybody take anybody down, but we've seen a lot of games that.
Well, USF took Florida down. I mean that's
that's right. That's right. Yeah. That one slipped my mind. So there's been what upset?
You were at. Mississippi State, Southern Miss, and I watched all of the first half and a little bit of the second half, but Southern Miss was in that game in the first half and were competitive. And I don't
Yeah.
really know what happened in the second half, but I mean, I don't. The final score wasn't like egregious, was it? It was
No,
like
no, I
17
think
points
it
or
was.
something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was in that case, it was just the size difference in the lines
Yeah.
is what
Well, and
we got
and
Southern.
Mississippi State's playing very well too. I mean, they're ranked
Yes, yes,
now,
they are.
so yeah, don't know what's going on with Iowa State, but they're doing better than the team they opened the season against, and that's Kansas State because they are stinking it up. Yeah, I think they're either 1-2 or 1-3 now. But we don't cover the Big 12, so we're not going to dwell on it. All right, so this is a game that Quacker and I picked, and Quacker, being the Group of 6 homer, picked Old Dominion to win. But he proved to be right because they beat the fool out of Virginia Tech. And I don't really know how else to say it. I mean, it wasn't close. It got their coach fired. Now,
Yeah,
granted, Virginia Tech is 0-3, but what Quacker just alluded to, if you've never stood next to a college football player, there's tiers of college football players, right? So when I spent some time in Pensacola, we have a Division II team that won a national championship. Their linemen would be 3 or 4 inches taller than me. I'm 5'11", but they'd be big and heavy in the biceps and such. But when you stand next to a Division I player, it's like a different animal altogether. But then when you stand next to a Power 4 Division I player, you're kind of looking at an alien. And I mean that sincerely. And so for Old Dominion to beat a team like Virginia Tech, now I'm not saying Virginia Tech's lighting up the recruiting, but they have resources that Old Dominion doesn't. And Old Dominion went to Blacksburg and made them look silly. So I think no matter how bad Virginia Tech might be this year, that's still just incredibly impressive for Old Dominion.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was 28-0 at the half. Old Dominion didn't score another point and still win the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, to win by 19, he gets the head coach fired and the AD's on a hot seat now too because his last 2 coaching hires for football have been failures. So
Yeah, and
they're hurting.
3, so
Yeah, they're hurting in Blacksburg. I saw a list of possible replacements for him. And Shane Beamer is the top name on the list. And I'll be honest, I don't see him taking the job.
I
That's
wouldn't be so sure. It could be the perfect storm for Virginia Tech because first of all, Shane Beamer is an incredibly likable guy. I really like everything I've seen from him, but he had a bad year to start. He had a really good year second year, had a really bad year his third year, and last year was kind of mediocre. This year's supposed to be top 10, top 15. We're going to get to them in a little bit. Lenora Sellers is out for I don't know how long. So if things go really bad and the fans turn on him, he played at Virginia Tech.
mm-hmm.
I could see him leaving to go there. Now, the question is Shane Beamer a great coach? And I don't know. I want him to be because he's super likable. But when you look at the evidence on the field, I think he's a good coach, and I think his players play for him. But, I mean, they didn't look great against Virginia Tech. They didn't look great against SC State. And then once Sellers went out, they had no chance against Vanderbilt. So I don't know. I mean, I think when you first think about that, it's no way is Beamer going to do it. But I think he could. And that's good news
I think
for
he could.
Virginia Tech too, because Virginia, if they have a bad enough season, they will lose their coach. And I think Virginia's probably a better gig than Virginia Tech, certainly right now with the recent success they've had. So,
yeah, I think what would hold him back from going there is just his dad's legacy. I think he kind of wants to build his own, and having to go in and because I haven't watched much of that SEC Netflix series. He talked about how he's no longer just Frank's son; he's Shane.
Yeah, I mean,
at South Carolina.
I think that's valid, but I also think I would probably agree with you if he didn't play there, but he played there.
Hmm.
So it's more
Yeah.
than just, you know what I mean? And he's established his legacy as a coach. I'm not saying he's, necessarily like great or bad or whatever. Um, but, he may say if these fans, if the fans give him enough trouble, he may say, I'm not raising my family in this. I'm going back home, you know?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're probably right. That's probably in his mind, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to keep him. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it also depends on how they do this year,
Yeah.
All right, so App State at USM. I'm not going to say anything about this game. Quacker, you were there. You tell us about it.
All right. Yeah. This game started out. It was pretty close. It was App State scored first. Southern scored the next 10 points, and App State was looking to go in and retake the lead. And the weirdest pick six I've ever seen happen. The App State receiver was going to the ground. The ball shoots out up in the air. The Southern defender grabs it and houses it from 99 yards away. And from that point forward, it was all Southern Miss. Southern, I believe they had 3 interceptions. I know 2 of them were in the end zone. It was very much a bend, don't break type defense that they played throughout the game. I mean, they made a lot of stops in the field, but they were also having to make stops there at the goal line too. But App State scored a garbage time touchdown to close it to within 16. But this was a significant win for Southern Miss, and you're thinking, well, it's just a win. It's been rough in Hattiesburg, and I'm trying to find this. It's the first FBS win for Southern Miss in 674 days. So it's been a minute since we've had anything to celebrate in Hattiesburg. We've beaten Alcorn State last year. Yeah. Our only win last year was against Alcorn State. And then this year to start out the season, of course, our first win was against Jackson State. So both of those are HBCUs, which are, what are they, like Division II or
FCS.
Yeah, FCS.
Yeah, so Division 1 can only play Division 1. You can't play Division 2 teams. So if they're not FBS, they're FCS.
Okay. Yeah. So it's been a long time coming for us, and it was the crowd was a little bit disappointing, especially after the first 2 weeks when it was a bunch of, or it was 2 Mississippi teams playing both weeks. So the crowd was really a lot bigger, but it was awesome to see. The team looked good. Braylon Braxton threw for 279 yards, very efficient. He was 22 of 30 for 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just a very clean game, and like I said, the defense, they played well. Bend don't break type defense for the most part. And it was really that touchdown that was scored late in the game. It's your second, third string guys that are in the game at that point. So it was good to be able to get your second string guys in a conference game like that. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So just to clarify that thought, I do think there are a handful of HBCUs that are Division 2, but if it's a team playing Division 1 team, they're FCS.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So all right. So that's good for Southern. Obviously, we've got ties there. Quacker went there. So good for them. All right. So let's move on to the ACC. So first of all, to the surprise of probably no one outside of Tampa, um, USF got boat raced at Miami. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. So we're not going to spend really any time on that. I hate it for Golish, but I don't think
The
it's
boat
surprising.
racing had to wait. What was it, 3 or 4 hours with that rain delay that they had, or weather
I
delay they
don't know
had?
what it was, but I do know that they had given them the go ahead to start warming up again at a certain point, and then they had to stop again. So, yeah, monsoon in a boat race. Um, I didn't even think about that. All right, so Pittsburgh at West Virginia. I'm not gonna lie, I did not watch a lot of this. I like had an eye on it, but for the majority of the game, really Pittsburgh was winning. It wasn't out of control, but Pittsburgh was winning for most of the game, and so I just sort of had one eye on it until about 4 minutes left when I'm texting Quacker trying to give him updates because he's walking into the stadium, and there's no joke 3 games going on, 2 of which went to overtime, and so I'm trying to watch this game. And I wind up like I would watch a play, then I'd miss a play because I'm watching one of the other games.
Right.
So I didn't watch a lot of it, but what I do know is that Pitt had to kick a field goal in their overtime period, and West Virginia. Hold on, let me just look at that because I want to make sure. I was watching 2 overtime games simultaneously, so I want to make sure I'm not confusing that. No, so they didn't. So they didn't score on their in their overtime period. West Virginia did, and it was a touchdown, and I believe it was on their second play. Um, so Quacker and I both picked Pitt to win that game. Kind of surprising that West Virginia won it, but it seemed like it was a pretty cool atmosphere. And man, I'll tell you, I think those fans are extra glad that Rich Rod came back.
Yeah. For part of the game, I don't think they were too happy, but yeah, the way they fought back and won the game. Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of this game, and of course, I had it on while I was driving to Hattiesburg, and I was sitting the bookstore watching because it was so hot uh, at camp on campus. I was like, I just want to sit somewhere that's cool and air conditioned to watch this game, and it was a really good game. Um, the Eli Holstein was kind of playing somewhat sloppy. I mean, he 22 of 37 for 303 yards. Not a terrible day, but some of the stuff he was doing was just kind of some bad decision making and stuff.
Yeah.
And West Virginia just kept plugging away, and of course they come out with a 7 point win. So kudos to them for sticking it out and not giving up. And of course, with Rich Rod being there, he said he's there to finish the job. Um, he's got some rebuilding to do there in Morgantown, but yeah, they look good. It was a tightly contested game throughout. Like nobody was ever pulling away.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean that it stinks that Pitt didn't win, but yeah, good for Rich Rod and the Mountaineers. All right, so this next game, Clemson went to Bobby Dodd Stadium right there in downtown Atlanta, and they lost the game 24-21. Not a terrible loss. But here's the question. This is a serious question because Clemson is 1-2, and I think everybody's like in awe about them being 1-2. But my question is, and I watched the game and I felt like Georgia Tech looked good. But my
Mm-hmm.
question is the sky falling for Clemson or is Georgia Tech just good? Because they did not look good against LSU, but LSU didn't look very good in that game either. And so it's like, I don't know. I feel like Clemson is not as good as we thought they were going to be this year. But I don't know that I'm ready to say they're like just a dumpster fire. I think it's
Yeah.
more a function of Georgia Tech being, a little better than people thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was watching the game as well, and they were saying at Georgia Tech, I think they were picked to finish in the top 4 in the ACC this year by the writers. So I think the ACC writers kind of had them.
I'm laughing because it was like Clemson, Miami, and Georgia Tech. I don't even know who else they would have put in the top 4. There's nobody in the ACC. Maybe SMU. The ACC is so down right now. I'm not laughing at Georgia Tech. I'm just like, well, it's not a high bar. So
Yeah, well, they were picked to like finish 10th last year, and they finished a lot better. But I do think Georgia Tech is being rebuilt to be a very competitive championship contender. I don't know if they're a threat to go deep in the playoffs. That I haven't seen anything from them so far that says they can't. I forget the head coach's name, but he's a former player from Georgia Tech. So it matters to them.
same thing
They
with Clarkley
they
and Vandy.
yeah they look good. And King, Haynes King, he was the leading rusher and passer for Georgia Tech in the game. So it's I think they go as far as he can stay healthy this year. Um, it's one of those kind of like
Brent Key is his name.
Sellers, huh?
Brent Key is his name.
Brent Key, yeah. I could see his face, and the name just was
Yeah,
nowhere in there.
I don't know much about Haynes King other than he's been a journeyman quarterback. So I do think it'd be cool for him to continue to have a great year. I mean, he's moving up in the Heisman odds at the moment. Now he's still a long way off, but a couple of the guys that were early in the running, I think the only one left is Nussmeier, and I think he's kind of hanging on right now. Arch Manning's Heisman conversation's over. Lagway's is over. Sellers is over. He didn't look good before he got hurt. Now he's hurt. And so, I mean, you're talking about like John Mateer, Haynes King, a couple of these other guys who've really looked good. Now, of course, I do think Nussmeier could probably still jump back in. I just think he's the only one who hasn't basically obliterated his chances 3 weeks into the season.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean that would be really a feel good story for Haynes King, even just to be in the conversation late in the year based on everything he's had in his career. But yeah, congratulations to Georgia Tech. It was a great game. I really enjoyed watching it. I have no beef with Clemson, but it was an entertaining game, so I was just glad to have watched it.
I tell you, two quick things. One, maybe now they can start saying the Georgia Tech quarterback Haynes King instead of the Texas A&M transfer, because he's in his second or third year here, and he's playing very well. Second thing, their helmets were so awesome. I really like their helmets that they were wearing this weekend. Those white with the gold.
Is that not their normal helmet? I'm gonna be honest.
They have a gold helmet that I think is their normal. But
I don't even. I think I could tell you what their normal helmet is. But yeah, I do agree with that. Somebody was asking me a couple of weeks ago, when does the time period pass that it's no longer okay to refer to a quarterback as a transfer? He thought like second or third game. My opinion is one whole year. But in Haynes King's case, yes, the time is over. But to spoil it for you, they're not going to, because that's what they do. So they're going to keep calling him that. But that's all right, because Georgia Tech can claim him forever because he's had good success there and he's not done yet. So I do agree. I like their helmets. I'm looking at a picture of it right now. But Georgia Tech's one of those teams. I don't think I could tell you. I don't think I could tell you what they wore when oh my gosh, Hall of Fame wide receiver, gonna be Hall of Fame wide receiver,
Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, why Why was I having such a hard time thinking of that?
Uh,
I
gold
could think, huh?
gold helmet with the white GT with the blue outline on it is their standard traditional helmet. I don't know. I don't know if that's still what they wear, but I know for 100 years that's what it was.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that makes sense. You said it's gold.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why. I just can't picture their helmet. But I believe you. All right. So moving on to the SEC, there's two games we're not going to talk about, but I'm going to mention them. I already mentioned that DJ Lagway was awful at Florida. LSU's offense also sputtered in that game. Weird game. Not really worth talking about. LSU wins the game 20-10. South Alabama gave Auburn way more trouble than they should have. But I think most every team has a game like this, so I'm not going to harp on Auburn for too long. But they won 31-15. Don't let it happen again, and nobody will talk about it again. But that's yeah. So all right. So on to the games that mattered. Also, to the surprise of no one, Oklahoma went to Temple, and I don't know if Temple went to Temple because it was 42-3. So, all right. So Arkansas went to Ole Miss. In this game, I picked Arkansas. Quacker picked Ole Miss. It was really close. So going into halftime, it was 38 or 31-28. Ole Miss scored one touchdown in the third quarter. Sorry, and Arkansas didn't get anything, and then Arkansas scored a touchdown. Ole Miss got a field goal. So. So final score was sorry, I just was looking at the wrong score and it confused me. So Ole Miss wins the game 41-35. This was a good game. I kept track of for a while, but then it got to be for like the first 5 or 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, it was 38-28, so I kind of stopped paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as I stopped paying attention, both teams scored again. So, yeah, I mean, I am not surprised by this result, but I'm also not surprised that Arkansas showed up and played hard.
I'll tell you, the surprising thing for me was the starting quarterback was second string. Austin Simmons, the normal starting quarterback for Ole Miss, was out, and the guy that played Trinidad Chambliss played a heck of a game. It apparently it doesn't matter who plays quarterback for Ole Miss; they just plug and play. And I mean, he was 21 of 29 for 300. It just moved on 353 yards with a touchdown. You know, you can't ask for more for somebody in making their first start it's an SEC start. You know, against a pretty solid opponent.
Yeah.
So, you know, as long as Lane Kiffin's there, quarterback play won't really be an issue for them. I don't see.
Yeah. No, I think you're right about that. Yeah, not a lot. That's what I was gonna say when you brought it up. Is it's like, well, it's a Lane Kiffin quarterback, so that doesn't surprise me at all. It could be their fifth string quarterback. He's gonna be good. All right, so in a game that Quacker had Texas A&M beating Notre Dame. I had Notre Dame winning. And for about 59 minutes and 30 seconds of that, I thought I was right. But you got to play all 60. So Notre Dame gives up the late lead at home to Texas A&M, loses the game 41-40. Really good game. Not going to lie to you, NBC is like the one network that I have it, but I only have it. I'm a big cable cutter, so I do all subscriptions. But I have a digital antenna, and for some reason, all of my channels come in very clearly except NBC. So I got to see like a few snippets of the game. I didn't get to watch a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But congratulations to A&M. Not a surprising outcome. I didn't think the game would be lopsided. But dude, like Elko just keeps doing it. You
Right.
know. Only his second year, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you've seen kind of the drop in Duke since he left. So I mean, he really is a really good coach. It was really good hire by A&M. Um, you know, I didn't get to watch this game, or I couldn't even really track it because my phone, it's a 3-year-old phone, and the battery doesn't hold up like it should anymore. I was kind of tracking a couple games in the stadium, and I was just watching the battery just go further and further down. When I left the game, I had like 2% battery left, so I wasn't watching anything. Just whatever you was texting me and whatever I could get on the GameCast stuff is all I could keep up with. And this game was over by the time I think it was over around the same time as the Southern Miss game was over. So I had just seen where A&M had won, and it was like the last play of the game or something like that. So,
Yeah.
if I have a chance, I'd like to go back and watch that one because it looks like it was a really good one to watch.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, from what I saw, it was, and it came right down to the wire. All right, so another good game. I'm gonna be honest with you. To save our viewers from a rant, I'm just gonna say about 3 or 4 sentences about this next game. Then I'm gonna let you have the rest of it. So Tennessee went up 21-7 on Georgia in the first quarter. Georgia then scored. Well, actually, let me back up. They scored. Wanted to make sure I have my numbers right. So they scored 21, the first 21 points of the game. Then Georgia scores 27 unanswered. So you think Tennessee's dead to rights after they had them at home. And mind you, I have no love for either of these teams, but Tennessee storms back, has a chance to win the game, kicks a field goal. I'm not going to get mad at a kicker. Kicking's way harder than people think it is. I felt bad for the guy. He missed it, went to overtime. Georgia won the game. Get to the post-game interview. First thing Kirby Smart says, well, everybody doubted us. Nobody gave us a chance. And, I mean, I wanted to throw my TV out the window. If I have to hear that man whine and complain one more time about how people doubt his team so he can get stupid bulletin board material, I don't care. I don't care. And I'm done because I'm going to say things I shouldn't say. But it makes me so mad. Oh, I'm over it. I am over it.
Yeah, I don't know who he thinks is doubting Georgia because
I don't think he thinks anyone's doubting him. I think he's trying to do it to motivate his team. But stop complaining. He whines about everything. Everything.
Yeah. For somebody who's, I mean, he's a fantastic coach, but if the only way you can motivate your team is to just like, well, they don't believe in you, that stick gets old, and the team quits believing it as well.
Well, they do also have the eat off the floor thing. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's he came up with this phrase a few years ago where he's like, "There's 2 times you eat off the floor: if you're really, really hungry, or if it's really, really clean." And they made like a hype video about it and everything, and it is embarrassingly bad, like so bad. Like the first time I heard him say it, I was like, okay, that doesn't click the way you think it does. Then you watch the video, and it's even worse. It was like a whole thing he had with this team a few years ago.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I was watching some of this game. I was watching the end of it in the stadium. This is kind of partly what drained the rest of my battery was trying to watch the end of this game. And like me and my buddy that I sit next to at the games, we were watching on my phone, and when the Tennessee kicker missed the field goal, we just looked at each other and said, it's probably over. Georgia's probably fixing to win it in overtime. And they held Tennessee to a field goal and they scored a touchdown, and that's all she wrote. And Georgia just does what Georgia does. I mean, they just find ways to win, especially against Tennessee. This is what 9 or 10 straight years that they've beaten Tennessee.
Yeah, but I feel like the problem is we've reached a point with Georgia to where they're winning games they don't deserve to win. And what I mean by that is Tennessee had them dead to rights. Like at the end of the game, set up for a field goal, game's over. And only Georgia would a kicker miss a field goal like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what frustrates me is it's like they didn't earn that win. They got lucky and got a win. And I understand the ball has to bounce your way to win games. The problem is I feel like that happens a lot with Georgia. It's not a conspiracy. I'm not blaming anyone. But when a team gets lucky a lot like that, like missed field goals or like, 12 men on the field on if they miss a field goal or, just like a fumble on a kneel. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, at some point it just gets old to see a team win games they legitimately don't deserve to win. I know teams win games they shouldn't every year, but I feel like with Georgia, anytime they're in a close game, they win not because they're the better team or they find a way to win, but because something stupid that would never happen to another team happens to them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that too. They've kind of got the Alabama effect because that happened under Saban forever, where
but
they may have been out.
I think the difference is, though, I know what you're saying. The difference is I think teams were legitimately and coaches were legitimately intimidated by Alabama. I think Georgia wants you to think that everyone's intimidated by. I don't know any teams that are intimidated by Georgia. Georgia plays in close games all the time. They don't blow anybody out unless they're outside of the SEC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference. Alabama was beating everybody by 17, and the only reason it was 17 was because after they got up by double digits, Nick Saban would just milk the clock and make the second half be 41 minutes long, So, I don't know. I'm just frustrated. I don't hate Georgia, but I do not like the current regime they're under. If Kirby Smart would stop being a baby and act like he won 2 national championships, I'd be a lot happier with Georgia and their whole program. But until that happens, I can't.
Yeah, I feel you there.
So sorry, I'm passionate about that. All right, so last game. This is a game that both of us took South Carolina to win as the home team. Now, I should qualify this by saying that Lenora Sellers went out in the first half of this game, and they were losing. Now, I think it was only like 14-7 or something like that. I think, but
yeah.
The final score was 31-7. Vanderbilt, who is 3-0 by the way, beat number 11 South Carolina at home at night. All that stuff. Which, by the way, I'm going to say something, and I am not an LSU fan, but I hear this a lot, and I feel like I need to defend LSU. For years and years and years, you would hear at home, but at LSU, you'd hear at home at night because it mattered more at LSU at night. Does it matter more at other stadiums at night? Yes. Is at home at night the same thing as it is at LSU for any other stadium? Probably not. Handful of them that we talk about. Oregon, Auburn, Florida. You can put them, you can say, or Ohio State. You could probably put those in the conversation with nighttime pushes it over the edge. But the reason I said I wanted to qualify that is because I live in South Carolina, and I heard that over and over again this week. It's at home, it's at night. I'm like, okay, I know Williams-Brice. They call it Willie B up here, which is obvious now that I think about it, but I'd never heard that. So, in my head, I'm like, all right, I know Willie B is like an exciting place, and I'm not knocking it. I've heard great things, and I want to go see a game before too long. But let's be honest, it's not one of those stadiums that I feel like is in that conversation. No, okay, let me back up. It's not one of those stadiums that's in that conversation. And so, Now, we will always be able to thank Willie B for being the stand-in for, what was it, Southeastern State or whoever it was who was the school from the program, the early 90s college football movie. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a fictional school, but they filmed it at and around South Carolina, both at the campus and at the stadium. And it's in they're a fictional school that plays in the real SEC. So like in the movie, they depict Mississippi State, they depict Georgia Tech, one or two other teams. If you haven't watched it, make sure your kids aren't around because it's not PG, but it's a really good movie if you're a sports fan. But yeah, so anyway, I say all of that to say this isn't a good look for Shane Beamer. It's not a good look for South Carolina. And I'll tell you this, if they are this bad without Lenora Sellers, they don't have any business being ranked. And I'm not knocking Vanderbilt, but you are at home. You're a top 15 team, and you lose, a preseason Heisman candidate and just get the doors blown off you. Because I'm going to tell you something. I really didn't mean to circle back to this, but DJ Lagway was a preseason Heisman favorite in the same category as Lenoris. So behind like the Arch and the Nussmeier and Klubnik, those guys.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Lagway played bad. Florida lost. He played. No, let me back up. He played atrocious, and Florida lost by 10 on the road. South Carolina's at home. Like, DJ Lagway played bad enough that I'm sure whoever Florida's backup is would have played as good or better than the night he had. And I'm not knocking him. Everybody has bad nights. It's his first road start. My point is, Florida, the team who has a lot more heat on them than South Carolina on the road against number 3, lost by 10. South Carolina, you were at home, and you lost by 24 points. I don't know, man. Like, I again, it's not about Vanderbilt. I thought Vanderbilt could win this game. I didn't think they would. I thought they could. But if Norris goes out and you lose by 24 at home to Vanderbilt, that's not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, we'll know more about what Vandy is in a few weeks. But I've seen it more than once, and you have too, where an important player like a Sellers goes down, and the team just kind of crumbles in that game. They may rebound later on, but when the game plan is built around what he can do at quarterback, and then he's out with an injury, and it sounds like it could be a significant injury. I'm not sure. I didn't know he got hurt in the game. Okay, so I mean, I tend to give a little more of a pass when a major player like that goes down, and because your second string doesn't get the same amount of reps as your first string quarterback's gonna get.
Okay. I'm just gonna use this as an example because we saw this in person. Last year, Graham Mertz went down in the Tennessee game for Florida. So we went to the Florida-Georgia game. Unranked Florida with, at that point, 3 or 4 losses. I don't know what Georgia was ranked, top 5 somewhere. DJ Lagway goes out in the second quarter. Florida's up by a touchdown, I think. 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, 4-ish minutes. The Ivy League transfer walk-on quarterback, who I don't even know his name, had Florida in the game with 4 minutes left, threw an interception inside the 20 that Georgia, 1 or 2 plays later, scored to make it a multiple-score game. Florida lost DJ Lagway, who is their second-string quarterback, in the second quarter and stayed in that game the whole time. And Florida, especially under their current regime, is not the gold standard which you should compare other programs to in terms of coaching and preparation and everything like that. They're just not right now. And so I get it. But to lose by 24 at home, unless you are a team that's predicted to go, 5-7, and you're playing a top 10 team. But when you are the almost top 10 team and you're losing by 24 at home, that's I just don't think it's good enough. I get what you're saying, and they hopefully they will rebound. But look, let's do this. We only have a couple minutes left. Instead of talking about South Carolina, because we know that was bad, let's spend a second talking about Vandy. You said, and I want to dig into this for a second. So you said we'll know more about Vandy in a few weeks, but here's the thing. So they have wins over Charleston Southern, Virginia Tech, and South Carolina. Two of those nobody cares about. South Carolina is a big win, but obviously more than half the game without their starting quarterback. So they've got Georgia State and Utah State the next two games. Those should both be wins. Then Vandy probably has one more win on their schedule because they go at Alabama, host LSU, host Missouri, at Texas, host Auburn, host Kentucky, at Tennessee. Let me take that back. They're gonna win. Not counting Georgia State and USU because we're gonna count those as wins. So that's 5. They're gonna win 2 more games. I don't know which. Well, I know one of them. They're gonna beat Kentucky for sure. And then between Alabama, LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, and Tennessee, they're gonna win one more. And it probably would either be Auburn or Missouri. That's my assumption, right? So, but the thing is, I think we know what we need to know about Vandy. Vandy's very good, but they're not good enough to beat Alabama, LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee all in a row. We know that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We know they will likely beat Kentucky. We know they'll likely beat, Missouri or Auburn. Maybe they could sneak up on another one of these teams, but they're not going to beat Alabama at Alabama. Alabama remembers that game last year. LSU would have to play the worst game of their season, I think, because just from a sheer talent standpoint, they're just a lot better. So my point is, I think we know what we're going to know about Vandy. They're a good, not great team, And so I think it's an interesting topic because, how do you see Vandy? Because in my mind, I feel like they are playing like and will likely be a 7-ish win team. And I think that's great, but I don't see more and I don't really see less,
Yeah. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what I see out of Vandy. I mean, I know they're 3-0, and the saying is you are what your record says you are. Yeah, I don't see them beating Alabama either. I think they have a chance against Missouri. I think Texas' defense is good enough that it'll keep Pavia in check there. I mean, Texas' defense is legit one of the best best in the country right now. I think they could beat Kentucky pretty easily, actually.
That's what I'm saying. I think they've got 3 for sure wins, and I think they've got another one on there somewhere, probably Missouri or Auburn. I'm not saying it will be Missouri or Auburn, but those are the 2 most likely outside of the Kentucky game.
Yeah.
Than USU and Georgia State. So
yeah,
but the thing is,
I wouldn't be surprised to see them between 7 and 8, 9 wins.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. All right, let's say they beat Utah State, Georgia State, Kentucky. So that's 6 wins. So 7 is either Auburn. Let's say 8. So that's Auburn and Missouri. You're talking 9. That means they're beating Auburn and Missouri, and then one of the following: at Tennessee, LSU at home, at Alabama. They're not going to beat Alabama because it's at Alabama, and Alabama remembers what happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
Could they beat Tennessee or LSU? Sure. Will they? Almost certainly not. You know what I mean? Like, they could, because this isn't your mama's Vandy for sure. But I feel like their schedule's backloaded in a way that I just look. It'd be cool as a fan who's my whole life I've never seen never seen Vandy good except for under James Franklin, and that was like relatively good. It wasn't even that great. So, I hope you're right. I don't know if I can see him getting 9 wins though.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a stretch, but I could see him winning between 7 and 9. I mean, nine.
Yeah.
I think nine's the top end.
Yeah.
But
Well, then we're close because I think they're definitely going to get 6 wins. I think they're somewhere between 6 and 8. So we're not far off. But
Yeah.
that's my point is I feel like if you were to ask anybody, they're going to put Vandy somewhere in one of those windows, right? So I think we know that's my whole thing is I think we know what Vandy is. They are a really good, not great team. But because they're Vandy, I think you have the added variable of how many coaches have the ability to get the it's just Vandy out of people's heads. Because these players, they can't just turn it off. You know what I mean? You can tell them all day long, but it's still the black and gold, V on their helmet. Like, that's not intimidating to anyone. And the problem is they're starting to play in a way that warrants a little bit of intimidation. Because they're better than they were last year. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But I do think between LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, and Tennessee, I think they're going to win one. I really don't think it'll be LSU or Tennessee or Texas, but it could be because I think they're going to beat one of those teams for sure. So we'll see. All right. Been a good episode. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
And there's a lot of good games this weekend.
Yeah.
Some that you didn't really think would be good. So that's what makes college football so much fun is, the NFL you can kind of look at the schedule like, this is gonna be a good game. This one's gonna suck. College football, you got 18 to 22-year-olds. You don't know what you're getting week to week. And that's one of the things that makes it so much fun. We're seeing teams struggle right now against, group of 6 schools that you wouldn't think would happen, and we're seeing a lot of struggle wins right now. So it's been an interesting first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, it definitely has been. So I'm not gonna say this. In fact, no, I'm not even gonna say it because I hate it when other shows say it. So I'm not gonna say it. Sorry, I didn't mean to tease you there. But yeah, so another good weekend ahead. Quacker and I are gonna get together later in the week and do a preview. Also, just a reminder, if you have not yet checked it out, on Wednesdays, check out our brand new NFL podcast, Southbound. We do that on Wednesday evening. Sorry, my nose is itching like crazy. So if you just love football and it's not just college, check that out. But if you just are a college fan or what have you, you are certainly welcome here. So where can people find the show? Where can people find you?
You can find the show on X at Alumni House Pod. Find us on Facebook at Alumni House Podcast. We're now on Twitch, Alumni House Podcast, and of course YouTube, Alumni House Podcast.
All right.
You can find me on X at Muddy Quacker.
Sorry, I thought you'd. There's so many things now that I was like, oh yeah, that was the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I almost forgot my own.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So maybe it wasn't me. Maybe it was your unnatural pause. I don't know. All right. You can find me at MattheWWWBROWN. That's Matthew with 2 extra W's, brown like the color, on X. Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next time. Have a great week.